Hi everybody, welcome to our first Wraplication 101 class. I'm really excited that you guys are joining me, and I'm really excited to help you perfect your wrap application because that's really important to me. So here's our plan. I am going to show you removal, and then I'm going to show you nail prep, and then last I'm going to show you application. And the reason I'm doing it in that order is because it just doesn't make sense to put them on and then take them off. So I left a couple wraps on to remove and show you proper removal, and then we'll go into prep and application. So before I go any further, I wanted to let you know that if you're in the Facebook group and you have joined that event, at the end, you have to wait until the end. If you post a picture of your wrap that you put on today in the group, then you're entered to win a free full wrap of your choice. So definitely stick around till the end so you have that chance to win. I'll pull out a random person as a winner. Okay, so the tools you're going to need, I posted in the group, but just in case, you're going to need dish soap to wash your hands, which is in my kitchen. You're going to need a cuticle pusher, a buff block, alcohol. This is our nail prep cleanser, which is works the same as alcohol. It's basically alcohol. It's a little bit different. You're going to need your wraps or your sample if I have a sample that I sent you. You'll need your nail scissors, and you'll need your mini heater. If you don't have a mini heater, you can use a blow dryer. I definitely prefer the mini heater, but a blow dryer will definitely work too. And you'll need a nail file. So I'm going to show you first how to remove your wraps, and I'm going to tilt the camera down so you can actually see what I'm doing with my hands. So let me do that. Sorry if I make you a little seasick while I do this. Hopefully it's not too bad. Let me get it nice and focused for us. Okay, so I actually already removed all of my wraps except two, but I wanted to show you exactly what I do to remove my wraps without any kind of damage. I like to use, pardon me, I set it on the other table. I like to use our Jamberry lacquer remover to remove our wraps. When I first joined, I would use oil, and it took them off, but the lacquer remover works way better without any damage to my nails. It's a lot faster, it's a lot easier, and it's not messy. The oil was always kind of messy. So our lacquer remover is non-acetone, so it won't dry out your nails like acetone lacquer remover, and it actually has some conditioners in there too, which is nice while you're removing them. So what I'm going to do to remove my wraps is first I'm going to heat them up with my mini heater. You could use your blow dryer just for a couple seconds to get that adhesive pliable. And then I'm going to use an orange stick. You could also use the edge of your fingernail to just take up the wrap a little bit just to break that seal. And then this actually has a really nice pump top. But when I'm removing my wraps, what I like to do is I actually take let me move this up a little bit. There you go. I actually take the lid completely off, and I will dip it in there and then just use my orange stick to gently peel back the wrap. And if there's any kind of resistance at all, then dip it back in. And then it comes right off. That's it. So I'm going to do the same thing with my other one. So when you take off your wraps, if you just peel them off, they're going to mess up your nails because there's a reason they last for 2 weeks. You don't want to just peel them off. You need to use, lacquer remover or nail polish remover or something to eat up that adhesive. So if you're seeing damage to your nails, most likely it's the way you're removing them. So look at how you're removing them. If you're just peeling them off without anything to eat away that adhesive, then that's what your issue is. So don't just peel them off. There's a reason they last so long. And while we're talking about removal, one thing I recommend doing So normally I will remove my wraps. I'm just rubbing off the residue. Normally I will remove my wraps at night, and then I normally put my new set on in the morning, or later the next day. Your nails don't need to breathe. Nails are kind of like hair. They're dead skin cells, basically. But I find that if I take my wraps off at night and then overnight allow them to, I'll put a ton of cuticle oil on them. I love our Indulgence hand care set. So I'll put Quench, which is like a balm for your nails. And then I put Nourish lotion on. And I kind of just let that really soak in and really moisturize my nails. And then the next day, they always look great. So that's what I like to do. I like to remove them at night and then make sure I use lots of cuticle oil. And then the next day is when I'll apply my wraps. I actually put cuticle oil on every single day. Nails are just like hair, so they need conditioner. They need oil to keep them moisturized. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you how you can, I'm going to actually move this up for a second. Okay. I'm going to show you how to prep your nails before you apply your wraps. When I find out that people are having issues, typically it's because their nail prep is lacking. So an issue that some people have is that the wraps will peel up on the top here or on the sides. A lot of times that is because you have some cuticle on your nail. Our cuticle remover pen is really great if you have an issue. All you do is you just twist it and then you swipe it. Let me pick it up so you can actually see. Just swipe it along the top and the sides of your nail before you apply your wraps. And then you want to let it sit for a couple minutes. And then you can push back your cuticles. If you don't have that issue, you don't need cuticle remover pen. If you're having issue, like you run your hand through your hand through your hair and your wrap's getting caught, then that's something you might want to look at. You might have some invisible cuticle growing on your nail there. So you'll wait for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and then you'll push back. Let me put this back down. And then you'll push back your cuticle. I actually did this earlier because for the sake of time, I didn't want to make you just sit there and watch me wait for 2 minutes. But the first thing you want to do when you apply your wraps is wash your hands. If you're going to use remover pen, you want to push back your cuticles first. But if you are not using a remover pen, you can wash your hands first. So if you're pushing back your cuticles first, that won't hurt anything. I just typically will wash my hands and then push my cuticles. The reason I'm doing this first is because the remover pen, you don't want to leave it on your nails. So what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to run to my kitchen and I'm going to go wash my hands with Dawn dish soap. And that's what I'd like you to do as well. You won't miss anything. So right now, go to your kitchen, go wash your hands with dish soap. If you don't have dish soap, you can use regular soap, but don't use anything with any kind of moisturizer in it. But dish soap is the best. Go wash your hands with dish soap. Make sure it foams up and rub those nails really well to get that oil off. And I'll meet you back here in about a minute. Okay, ready? Go. Okay, so the first thing you do when you're going to apply your wraps is you want to wash your hands and make sure they're nice and clean. So after you wash your hands, if you haven't already, you're going to go ahead and push back your cuticles. Now, when you push back your cuticles for the first time, they're probably not going to go all the way back, and that's fine. You don't want to force them back. You don't want to make yourself bleed. Just push them back gently, and over time, they'll kind of go back, and you won't have as much cuticle going on. One thing I do want to tell you, which has nothing to do with your wrap so much, but don't cut your cuticles. It's really, really, really bad to cut your cuticles. It leaves you really susceptible to infection. So if your cuticles are kind of far up, that's okay. Just leave them be, and eventually you'll be able to push them back. All right, so I'm hoping that everybody's back and has washed their hands with dish soap. The first thing you're going to do, like I said, is push back your cuticles. Then the next step is you're going to use a buff block, and you're going to gently buff the top of your nails. And you don't have to do it, you know, crazy hard, but you want to just kind of get the shine off of your nails, and it gives a little bit of a smooth, but not shiny surface for the wrap to stick to. So you're going to just go ahead and buff your nails, and hopefully you guys are doing this with me. If you don't have a buff block, they come in our application kit. You can also get them at Sally's or Amazon, which is where I pretty much buy everything. But just go ahead and buff all of your nails. And then the last step to prep your nails is just to wipe them down with alcohol. I really like I'm going to move the camera up real quick. I really like our nail prep cleanser because it has a pump top so I don't spill it. You can just give it a couple pumps and then wipe down your nails. And typically what I will do is I do one hand and then I do the other hand when I do that one. So that way, just in case I accidentally touch it or whatever, I don't get any oil on there. Okay. So far we've washed our hands, we've pushed back our cuticles, we've buffed, and we've rubbed our nails down with alcohol. So now at this point, I'm going to try to avoid touching my surface of my fingernails because there's oil on my fingers. I don't want to get them on there. Now, I have my wraps ready that I'm going to be using today. I'm going to be mixing and matching. It's not very fall, but this is what I decided to wear. So, another really important thing to get a really good application is making sure you're choosing the correct size wrap. Our wrap back is clear, so you can hold the wrap up to your fingernail to decide what wrap size is going to fit best. And you want there to be a little space on the side. When I first started wearing wraps, I didn't want there to be any space. So I would pick a wrap that was too large and it wouldn't last as long because if it's touching your skin or your cuticle at all, it's going to peel up. No one's going to notice a little sliver on either side. So if that's something that was hard for me to come to terms to, but now my nails always look way better because the wrap actually fits. So you're going to hold it up and you want to see a little, oh, my hand is not in front of the camera. There we go. You want to see a little space on either side. If it's exactly the same size as your nail, you probably need to size down a little bit. If it's touching any skin, you're going to need to size down. If the smallest wrap is too small for you, you're going to want to trim it, or you could try juniors. That might be a better fit if you have really small nails. Okay, so don't apply any wraps right now. Watch me, and then after I do a couple, then why don't you go ahead and then you can apply your sample. So I know that I'm going to use this one because I know that's the one that fits my pinky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my nail scissors and I'm going to slide them underneath the wrap and cut it in half. Now, I'm going to turn my heater on because I'm going to need to heat up my wrap. I will pick up my wrap on the side that I cut it with my fingernail. This is okay because I'm not touching any part of the wrap that's going to be on my nail. And I'm careful to only touch it with my nail. If you're nervous about getting oil on your wrap, because if you get oil like on this end of it, then you're going this end down here, then it might lift. You can use a cuticle pusher and stick the wrap on the cuticle pusher like this. I personally, it's just easier for me to manipulate it with my hand, and I know that I'm not touching a part that's going to be on my nail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it in front of my heater for a few seconds until it starts to get pliable. You'll see it kind of bend. And then I'm going to place it on just the top of my nail. Now, I know if if you have seen any of my videos before, you know that you can pick it up and move it if it's not straight. And actually, that was a pretty good shot. That's pretty straight. If you have flat nails, you can go ahead and just lay that down. I don't know if you can see my nail, but my nail is curved. So if your nail is curved like mine, this is a really good tip. This has completely changed my application. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take another finger, which is a little awkward at first, but get used to it. I'm going to take another finger, and then I'm going to stretch it to the side, stretch it to the other side, and then smooth it with my finger. So that allows the wrap to kind of form to my curved nail. And even if you had flat nails, it wouldn't hurt anything to do that. I find that gives me really smooth sides. And then I'm going to heat it up again. And then I'm going to use my cuticle pusher to smooth down the edges and the middle. And you always go from the base to the tip. And then again, I'm going to hold my wrap, and then I'm just going to tug on the tip a little bit. And that helps me get the tips nice and smooth. So when I first started, I didn't realize how stretchy the wraps were. So I would be nervous to pull on it. But I've learned they're vinyl, that you're not going to break it. So definitely stretching it over the nail makes a huge difference. And I'll show you again. And then you can try with me. All right. So I am going to size for the wrap that fits my next finger, and I happen to know that it's this one. I'll still have a little space on either side. So I'm going to slide my scissors under it again. I'm going to pick up the wrap, remember, just with my fingernail. I'm going to heat it up for a few seconds, and then I'm going to place it on my nail. And remember, if it's not straight, you can move it. Okay, so I'm going to just reposition it. So it's straight. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to try to get a good angle so you guys can see this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another finger on top to hold it, which I know might feel awkward, but you get used to it. And then I'm going to stretch it to the one side, and then stretch it to the other side. And then I like to smooth it with my finger first because I can feel if there's any part that's not smooth. And then I'm going to heat it up again. Use my cuticle pusher to smooth it down. And then I like to hold it again and stretch that tip. Okay. And then I'll cut it, and you don't have to cut it super close because I'm going to file it at the end. I just cut it to get it out of my way. And if you notice, I didn't file anything yet. I like to do my whole hand and then I go back and file. So I'm going to go ahead and do another nail. If you want to go ahead and do it along with me, grab your sample and use your scissors. Slide it under and cut it in half. Pick that wrap up and heat it for a few seconds. And then you're going to place it on your nail. And remember, if it's not straight, you can pick it up. It's no problem. That's one thing I love about our wraps, because normally I'd have to do a couple times before I get it perfectly straight. And then I'm going to hold it and stretch it to the one side, stretch it to the other side, and then smooth it with my finger. And then heat it up again and use that cuticle pusher to smooth it out. And don't worry, take your time. If you are still working on the first step, that's fine. I'm going to keep going so you can see a few different nails and kind of see how I do it and what works. And then I'm going to hold it again and stretch out that tip. Remember, it's stretchy, it's vinyl. It's not going to rip. And that really will give you a nice smooth tip and nice smooth sides. Someone had asked me about if you wake up and they're wrinkled in the morning. Typically that is if you picked a wrap that was too large. So if you're having that issue, my guess is that you're picking a wrap that's a little bit too big, and you're going to want to size down a little bit. All right, I'm going to do the same thing again. Just doing the same thing on repeat. I'm going to cut that wrap in half. I'm going to heat it up. Place it on my nail. Hold it. Stretch it to the side. Stretch it to the other side. Smooth it with my finger. It's so funny because when I started, I just would push it down flat. And because my nails are curved, I would get a bubble here and there, and it drove me nuts. And then I realized that they're stretchy, and that made it 1,000 times easier. And then I'm going to smooth it down with that cuticle pusher. I'm sure you've heard me say this before, but our wraps are applied with heat and pressure. So I get the heat from my mini heater, which I love because it's hands-free, and I get the pressure from my cuticle pusher and my finger. And look at that. I have 4 nails done, and I'm actually taking a little longer than I normally do because I'm kind of explaining everything. Now I want to show you something I do for my thumb. My thumbnail, like most people's thumbnails, isn't curved like the rest of my nails. It's kind of straight. So this is something I do to make it look a little bit better. So I'm going to cut my wrap in half like I normally do. And then I'm going to pick it up again just with my fingernail on the edge that I cut. And then this is more curved than my nail. So what I do is I'll take the scissors and cut so it's a little straighter. And then it's closer to the size of the shape, of my nail. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to heat it up. I'm going to put it on. And then I'm going to just stretch it and stretch it. And I love our wraps because they're really forgiving. So while you're applying them, if you have a little mistake, you really can fix it. You just can tug on it a little bit, smooth it out. I'm going to heat it up again. I'm going to use my cuticle pusher just to get that pressure, make sure it's nice and smooth. And then I'm going to give it a little tug. And then actually that's pretty short, so I'm not even going to worry about cutting that. All right, so right now my nails kind of look funny because I have the extra on there. What I normally do now is I'll actually wait a couple minutes to allow the wraps to cool. Our wraps don't have dry time. They don't need to dry. But because I was stretching them, just like any kind of plastic or any kind of vinyl that you're stretching, there might be a little bit of shrinkage, which reminds me of Seinfeld. But anyway, since I stretched them a little bit, I like to give it a minute or two to cool down. And that way, if I stretched them and then they're going to kind of shrink back a little bit, that'll happen before I file. So I'm going to talk to you really quickly about filing. So our Jamberry application kit comes with our Jamberry files, which are great for most people. They're a little bit of a rougher grit, though, and I found personally for me that I prefer to use a glass nail file. Jamberry doesn't have glass nail files. I ordered mine on Amazon. I can post a link if you want. You can get them anywhere, though. It's a finer grit, and I love glass nail files because you don't need to ever get a new nail file. Glass nail files, if they start to not be as sharp, you can wash them in soap and water, and then they are just like new again. So when you are filing your nails, and I'll do it with the Jamberry file and the glass file and show you that they both work fine. So when you're filing your nail, I always start with the one that I did first, so that way I know it's cool and ready to go. So with a Jamberry file, I'll show you. You file, I'm going to move this up so you can see a little better. There we go. You file down only at a 90-degree angle. If you file up at all, you're going to lift that wrap. So you only file down. And you can push fairly hard. People are always a little nervous about hurting it, but you're not going to hurt it. So you just go around and file down. Now, the Jamberry nail files, like I said, are a little on the rougher side. So after I file, this is a really helpful tip. I take my buff block and I will buff the tip. And that really helps my tip stay nice and smooth. Okay, so that's the Jamberry file, and it worked just fine. But I prefer the glass file because it's a little smoother. So it takes a little bit longer when you use a glass file, but I think it's worth it. It really gives you nice smooth tips. And I love that I don't have to buy another nail file ever again. So I'm just filing downward. Don't file up at all, just down. And the wrap, it's almost off, will start to come off. And again, like I said, the filing, when you file with a glass nail file, it takes a little bit longer, but I find that my tips are really, really nice and smooth and last for a really long time. My last 2 sets of wraps I wore for 12 days and then 11 days, and the ones that were 11 days I took off today, and I only took them off for this. They still looked great. So I definitely recommend a glass nail file. It's definitely worth it. I'm hoping one day soon Jamberry will come out with some cute Jamberry glass nail files. And then even with the glass one, I do like to buff the tip. I think it just gives it that nice finished smooth edge. Okay, so like I said, you can use either one, either works. If I'm in a rush, I normally will use the Jamberry file because it does take the end off a little faster than the glass one. Because it's a tough, higher grit. And then I'll buff the tip. Now I will show you too, some people don't like filing or don't want to file. You can clip off the tip. For me personally, I find that it works better if I file. But if you want to clip off the tip, you can. You would just go around and clip, and you would want to clip a little bit of nail too. And then if you do clip it, I would again recommend using that buff block to make sure your tips are smooth. I would say that I really don't personally recommend clipping unless there's like you have really short nails or something. I just find filing works a lot better. And it gives you smoother tips. And I think that we all could agree that we want smooth tips on our nails. So I'm just filing down. And I go kind of around. This is actually kind of like my Zen time. I normally do my nails while my daughter is napping. So this is like mommy's time for herself. And here we go. And then again, I'm going to buff the tip, and I'm just going down, just like when I file. And that's it, ladies. I have one whole hand done. For the sake of time, I'm just going to stick with doing one hand. It doesn't normally take me this long, but since I was stopping and explaining every step, I thought that would be helpful for you guys to see a full hand. So normally I would do my whole right hand, and then I go and do my whole left hand, and then I have cute nails for 2 weeks, and it makes me happy. I hope this was really helpful. If there was something that you wanted to see that I didn't show you, or you have any questions, feel free to post in the Facebook group or email me, and I would be more than happy to share them with you. My goal is 100% for you all to have amazing applications, and if you don't, then I'm not doing my job. So please let me know if you ever have any questions. This is really, really important to me because I want you all to have amazing experiences. So if you applied a sample or applied wraps, take a picture and post it in the group tonight. I'll give you until midnight in case you're still going. And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to pick a random winner and you're going to win a full sheet. If you liked having this information from me, I share lots of tips and tricks in my VIP group. If you're not already part of my VIP group, let me know and I can add you to it. And I offer tips and tricks and sometimes VIP only deals and games, and it's really fun in there. All right, ladies, I just realized you're talking to my, you're looking at my hands. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to hop off of here, hop into Facebook, and see if you guys have any questions or anything else you want to see. I really hope that was helpful. If there's anything else you want to see, please let me know and I can make a video tomorrow and share it with you guys. Everybody have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.